today's construction, day 101.
Okay, so the topic of today's video is using caution and trying to educate yourself on all the rules and regulations here, because I have a brand new story to tell you guys that we just learned of this morning actually. So if you're a foreigner and you're thinking about retiring in the Philippines, and to assume you have a Filipina wife, and you go ahead and buy some property, and everyone knows the property is in the Filipina's name, but you have to use extreme caution on some other steps, and I'm going to try to get into it a little bit. So I heard a story today, and it's from a person who knows, so it's I believe it to be accurate. And I actually heard this story from a few other people as well, but it's kind of confirmed now that it's from a reputable person. So there's a building contractor, obviously going to remain nameless, who builds a lot of homes in Negros, and he's kind of a one-stop shop company where it provides all the services. So if you sign up with his company, show you a bunch of designs, he has his own engineers, own architects, the contractor takes care of all the permits, basically does everything soup to nuts. And it sounds great, because then as the foreigner, you're more than likely retired and you just want to let someone handle all the details. And you probably don't know how to go through the motions of all the rules and regulations anyway. Now that's the complete opposite of what Will and I did. So right off the bat, we did not use the contractor's engineer. We went out and got our own engineer, just because we wanted to design the house ourselves. And not to say that the engineer that works for the contractor, and I'm talking about any contractor, not my contractor, but if an engineer works for a contractor, that they would design the home less than suitable, just try to cut corners to help the company. And again, I'm not saying that happens, but it was just a thought in my mind. So I said, I'm going to go out and we're going to get our own architect and go to blueprint on our own. And then we'll have that person handle all the permits, not the contractor. And my understanding here is typically the contractor has somebody on his staff to handle the permits for you. So you're probably starting to understand where I'm going with the story. So there are several homes in this area that's in the middle of construction right now. And from what I was told, they're primarily foreigners. So varying degrees of completion. And guess what? The contractor never got permits. So now, from what I was told this morning, the municipal stopped construction. The contractor had to lay off all the workers, and the building of all these retirees' dream homes are on hold. Now, what's the next steps? Is there penalties involved? I bet you there is. Is the municipal going to be more stringent now? The fact that the contractor did the wrong thing? Could be. And I was told it was multiple homes. So can you just imagine? And Wilma turned to me today and said, how would you handle that? And obviously I said, not good. But again, it comes back to using some common sense. And again, I'm not saying that there's not contractors out there that are a one-stop shop and does everything perfectly. I'm sure it's out there all over the place. And there's many examples of foreigners who build homes here and don't get involved at all, and it ends up perfect. Sure it does. But it's just not my style, and it's just not what I would recommend. You know, one of the things about our channel is we're showing our build, but we are trying to educate people to some degree to try to assist. And I think I told you guys many times, I'm very surprised how many emails I've received from viewers who are thinking about or will be retiring soon. Some of them as early as December, next month, coming here next month. And they're going to start their search. But many people, you know, next year, you know, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and they're starting to watch our channel just because they're interested in watching and getting educated. And they're learning some tips. And again, there's people that are building homes that are back in their home country, and it could work out great. But I wouldn't recommend that. I think you need to have boots on the ground, and I think you need to take some responsibility getting your own permits and doing the follow-up and actually seeing the permits, having them in your hand before construction starts. And that's what Wilma and I did. When we moved here in June, one of the first things we did was we got here on a Wednesday, and I think I said on a Friday, I had my engineer and my contractor, we all met at ground zero, and we had coffee, and we talked about who was responsible for what and where we're at with the permits. And when the architect said that, you know, we're just a couple weeks away from getting the permits, in 2 weeks, we reached out and said, we want them. We want the originals. And he said, I have them, come down. We picked up the permits, and we have them. And then we also took a piece of plywood and wrote in magic marker the permit numbers and put them on the bodega, just in case anybody came up and said, you know, can I check and see if you have a permit? And the permit number is displayed in front of the property. But all these homes were started without permits. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And that would be my recommendation to you guys, is to make sure that you know the steps of the process, to include having the permits in hand before the construction starts. So let's get up to the work site and see what's going on. All right, so the guys are coming back from lunch. Now, it did rain earlier today. It rained last night quite a bit. And then it drizzled here like 8, 9 o'clock and ended around 9:30. It wasn't a hard rain, but it was you know, a steady drizzle. So the guys went on the inside, did some work on the inside. So they did lose a little bit of time here today, but now here it's after lunch. You can see the clouds are still heading this way, but they're gonna get back at it and continue with rendering the front beams. All right, so yesterday's video, we got a lot of great suggestions on how to handle this area. So I'll just go through a couple of them. One, we may go with a neutral color in here, like a white or a beige that's lighter than this. That's a possibility. But one of the suggestions was made was not to worry about the fact that this is shorter, because of the grout line, and Wilma will put another tile up. So wherever the grout line will be here, so let's just say the grout line falls right here. The suggestion was just continue the grout line all the way across, and then come out, and then come out, and then the next tile would be right here, and just continue it. So it would just be one continuous grout line that would go all the way through. I thought that was a really good idea. So that's what we may do, because I think we like the look of having it not be an accent. But we did not buy any accent color here. So we're going to go out and get a couple of samples, because a lot of comments was that if this is going to be the tile for around here, it may be nice to have an accent color here. So we're going to go ahead and just buy a couple different ones and bring them here, because that's always a good way to look at it. It looks great at the store, but when you bring it to the site, it changes. So you know, we're either going to go with this look or an accent. And then we had a real good suggestion of marble, and I like marble. And the viewer has been with us a long time. His name is Aurelio, and we may look at, because there's a place that sells a lot of marble, and that may look really nice in here, and then we could actually have the shelf pitch here a little bit and come out with a nice piece of marble, not knowing if we can get a bullnose on that piece of marble. So we're going to look into that as a third option as well. So thanks, Aurelio. But we'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll shoot another video next week with the accent tile, and then if we went forward with that marble look or not. I don't know if I can get a couple samples of the marble, but I'll look into it. All right, so good news. Ramel has all the conduit areas, like out here, all completed for the whole house, for the electrical. So now he's starting to work on the split Aircons. And before I explain what he's doing, let me zoom in on Ramel. Finally, he's wearing eye protection. The eye protection, and I did a video on this maybe, I don't know, 40 videos ago, that we had eye protection here, and the guys just don't like using it. But you can see today, he's wearing eye protection, so very happy about that. But with the Aircon, what's different about it is the area that he needs to dig out needs to go very deep, because they want to be able to embed this 2-inch PVC, and that needs to be embedded in this concrete, and then they're going to smooth it out, and then you know, put cement, and then eventually it'll be skim coated so you won't see it, because the Aircons will be installed at the very end, and they need this 2-inch opening for the copper piping, insulated copper piping, as well as the electrical that'll go from the Aircon unit outside to where the actual electrical outlet is and where the compressor will be. So each of the bedrooms and then the main area will get their own split Aircon. So he's working on the first one today. So he'll dig that out deep enough to embed this 2-inch, so all the electrical and the copper tubing will fit through. So he still has more digging out to do. All right, so here goes the main line, type 6. So they call it type 6 wire, so 6 gauge. And it'll be one continuous wire that goes up the conduit, up into the roofing, all the way to the main panel. And then you can see how much they have here. It'll continue down the conduit all the way out to the pole area. So they're starting to run the main line and getting it ready for eventual hookup. Back here in the east corner of the house, we made another change. And change for the better, and I'm going to explain it. It's for a couple of reasons. we've been having a lot of conversation, Wilma and I and the foreman. So this area right here was all rendered with Sahara, and that's a waterproof. That's the waterproofer that they use for the pool. So that was done. So that should assist with any water that comes from this area. And remember, we're going to concrete this now, so that does kind of change the game. We pitch it the right way, have drainage, should drain everything away. But I don't think we'll ever be able to get this dugout to be low enough to coordinate with this doorway. So the doorway itself would have to be pretty high. So now we're talking about having steps to go up to the doorway and then steps down. So that really doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do, and we just talked this through, is we're going to go ahead and take the doorway out, which he just did, and we're going to build this wall with no doorway. And then that'll give us the ability to really render this with that waterproofer, Sahara. So that's number one. Number two, when you stand in there, you can see that it's darker in there. And it's lighter on that end because it's open to the carport. But once we put a wall here with a door, it's really going to darken this corner. Now we're going to have lights and all that. But we like the natural daylight. So what we're going to do, instead of a doorway, we're going to put a 90 cm by 90 cm window here, just like a window over here. And it'll be the same height as that window coming across. So it'll be a window here with a screen to let the daylight in. So we like that. And then another reason is, we've been going back and forth with 1,000 liter or 1,500 liter water storage tank. And this is where the water line will come in from the municipal water. And we measured the width of that tank, and it's 140 centimeters. And that takes up about 3/4 of this area. It's a very large tank. In fact, what I was going to do was just buy it now and bring it here and set it in place and see how large it is. So when we did that measurement, that didn't leave a lot of room anyway to come around. Now, there was plenty of room, but it would be very tight because the water storage tank is going to be right here. And it's big. It's taller than I am. And then the pressure tank will be right there with the pump to create the right pressure. And then you can see the PrEP, the blue line. That is going to be the main line coming from the municipal water, going into the storage tank, going into the pressure tank, and then feeding the whole house. So the fact that that tank is going to be so large, it would be tough to get around anyway to the doorway. And then, being so dark in here, we figured having a window. And then lastly, that constant concern that I have about water in this corner. So not having the cutout for the doorway here is going to allow us to really waterproof this wall. Once it gets rendered like this, we'll waterproof the heck out of it. And then it really doesn't matter where this falls with level. Now, obviously, we want it to tip away. That'll happen. But it doesn't matter how far up we go with grade, which is probably going to be about as high as that block is now. Grade will go up at that high, and then it will start pitching this way with concrete. So that'll all be backfilled in with dirt and stone, and then 4 inches of concrete. So I think that is what we're going to do, and I think now that, in my opinion, will solve the water problem that I've been worried about so much here.